Have you ever started your day with a comforting bowl of oatmeal, thinking you're doing something wonderful for your health, only to feel a bit off later, maybe sluggish, bloated, or even experiencing some discomfort you can't quite pinpoint? It's true. Oatmeal is often called a superfood, packed with fiber and goodness. It's a warm, familiar friend to many of us, a staple we trust to give us a good start. But what if I told you that even this health hero can turn on you? Not because of the oatmeal itself, but because of some seemingly innocent things you might be adding to it. It's a painful reality that sometimes our best intentions with healthy eating can go awry, simply because we don't know how certain foods interact. We reach for convenience or what tastes good, unaware of the hidden conflicts happening in our bowl. It feels frustrating, doesn't it? To try and eat right only to find out you might be making things harder on your body. Especially as we get a little older. Our digestion changes. Our bodies process things differently. And being mindful of these interactions becomes even more crucial. That simple bowl of oats could be the culprit behind unexpected energy crashes or digestive woes. Not because it's bad, but because you've accidentally mixed it with something that creates an unwelcome reaction. It's like inviting two guests to a party who simply don't get along, and your stomach ends up paying the price. In this video, we're going to uncover 7 common foods that many people regularly mix into their oatmeal, believing they're enhancing it, when in fact, they might be turning this healthy breakfast into something less than ideal, maybe even problematic for your system. These aren't obscure ingredients. They're likely sitting in your pantry or fridge right now. We'll talk about why these combinations can cause trouble, and what you can do instead to keep your oatmeal truly beneficial and easy on your body. You might be surprised by what you learn. Watch to the end for something that will genuinely surprise you and change how you look at your breakfast bowl. Let's dive right in and start with one of the most common additions, something many of us have likely spooned generously into our oats for that familiar sweet taste: plain old refined sugar, especially brown sugar or white sugar. Now, we all know too much sugar isn't great in general, but the way it interacts with oatmeal is particularly worth noting, especially for those of us keeping an eye on blood sugar levels. Oatmeal, particularly rolled oats or steel-cut oats, is praised for its complex carbohydrates and fiber, which help release energy slowly, preventing sharp spikes in blood sugar. This is fantastic for maintaining stable energy throughout the morning and is a key reason why many doctors recommend it, especially for managing or preventing conditions like type 2 diabetes. However, when you dump a significant amount of simple sugar into that bowl, you're essentially overriding one of oatmeal's main benefits. You're introducing a flood of quickly absorbed sugar alongside the slowly digested oats. Instead of a gentle rise and fall in blood sugar, you get a steeper, faster spike because the simple sugar is processed so much more quickly. This can lead to that uncomfortable sugar rush followed by an equally sharp crash, leaving you feeling tired, shaky, and hungry again sooner than you'd expect. For older adults, managing blood sugar fluctuations is particularly important, not just for energy, but also for overall metabolic health. A big sugar spike can put extra strain on the body's insulin response and over time, can contribute to the very issues oatmeal is supposed to help prevent. Think about it, you're starting your day aiming for stable energy and good health, and a few spoonfuls of sugar can work directly against that goal, turning your power breakfast into something that mimics eating a sugary donut more than a wholesome meal, at least in terms of that immediate blood sugar impact. So, while a tiny sprinkle for taste might not be the end of the world for everyone, regularly sweetening your oatmeal heavily with refined sugar is definitely one of the first things to reconsider. It fundamentally alters the metabolic effect of the meal in a way that can be counterproductive, especially if you're dealing with insulin resistance or just aiming for steady energy levels throughout the day, instead of relying on refined sugar for sweetness. Consider natural alternatives that offer sweetness without the same rapid blood sugar spike. Moving on from sugar itself, let's talk about something often perceived as a healthier way to sweeten things: dried fruit. Now, dried fruit does contain fiber and some nutrients. Unlike refined sugar, raisins, cranberries, Apricots, dates, they all sound wholesome, don't they? And in moderation. As a snack on their own, they can be fine, but when you add a handful, or often more, to your oatmeal, you're adding a concentrated source of natural sugars. As fruit dries, its water content decreases dramatically, but its sugar content remains, becoming much more concentrated by weight. A small handful of dried cranberries, for example, can contain as much sugar as several times that amount of fresh cranberries. And often commercial dried fruits have added sugar as well, making the problem even worse. The issue here is similar to refined sugar, but with a twist. While dried fruit contains fiber, the sheer volume of sugar can still lead to a significant blood sugar response, especially if you're adding a generous portion. The fiber helps a bit, but it doesn't completely negate the impact of all that concentrated sugar hitting your system. Again, for managing blood sugar and maintaining stable energy. This can work against the natural benefits of the oats, beyond blood sugar. The concentrated nature of dried fruit can also be tricky for digestion for some people. The high fiber content, combined with the high sugar, can sometimes lead to gas, bloating, or general discomfort, especially if your digestive system is sensitive. Fresh fruit or frozen fruit, on the other hand, contains much more water, which dilutes the sugar and makes the fiber easier to process. So, while a few pieces of dried fruit might be okay occasionally, making it a regular, heavy addition to your daily oatmeal might be turning a potentially blood sugar-friendly meal into a sugar bomb that can cause energy crashes and digestive woes. It's about understanding the concentration. You're getting a lot of sugar and fiber in a small package, which can overwhelm your system in ways that fresh fruit doesn't. Think of it as adding candy versus adding a whole piece of fruit. They affect your body differently. Another common companion to oatmeal, especially for creamy texture, is milk. And specifically, let's talk about full-fat dairy milk. Now, dairy milk isn't inherently bad, and it provides calcium and protein, which are important nutrients. However, for a significant number of people, particularly as we age, lactose intolerance or sensitivity can develop or worsen. Adding dairy milk to your oatmeal, especially in larger quantities to make it creamy, can trigger digestive distress like bloating, gas, cramps, and diarrhea if your body struggles to break down lactose, even if you're not fully lactose intolerant. The fat content in full-fat milk can also slow down digestion. While a bit of fat can be good for satiety, combining a high-fiber food like oatmeal with a significant amount of fat can sometimes sit heavily in the stomach for some individuals, leading to a feeling of sluggishness or discomfort after eating. It's not a universal problem, and many people tolerate dairy just fine. But if you regularly experience digestive issues after your oatmeal and you're using dairy milk, it's worth considering if this combination is contributing to your discomfort. There are so many excellent plant-based milk alternatives available now. Almond milk, soy milk, oat milk doubling down on oats, cashew milk, coconut milk that are fortified with calcium and vitamin D, offering the creaminess without the lactose or the higher saturated fat content of full-fat dairy. Switching to one of these, or even just using water for cooking and adding a splash of milk or milk alternative at the end, could make a noticeable difference in how you feel after breakfast. It's a simple swap that could resolve those post-oatmeal digestive rumblings. Let's continue our look at common oatmeal additions that might not be serving you as well as you think. Have you ever tried to boost the protein content of your oatmeal with a scoop of protein powder? Many people do, thinking it's a simple way to make their breakfast more satisfying and muscle-friendly. And protein is incredibly important, especially as we get older, for maintaining muscle mass and overall vitality. However, not all protein powders are created equal, and some types, especially those with added sugars, artificial sweeteners, thickeners, or a long list of other ingredients, can cause digestive upset when mixed into oatmeal. Whey protein, for instance, can be problematic for those sensitive to dairy, just like milk itself. Some plant-based protein powders contain ingredients like pea protein or certain gums and thickeners that can lead to gas and bloating in sensitive individuals. Furthermore, many flavored protein powders are loaded with artificial sweeteners like sucralose, aspartame, or sugar alcohols, which can have a laxative effect or cause significant digestive discomfort for many people. The combination of the high fiber in oatmeal and certain ingredients in protein powders can sometimes be a recipe for digestive distress. Your gut is working hard to process the complex carbs and fiber from the oats, and then you introduce a concentrated, sometimes difficult to digest protein source along with artificial additives. This can lead to fermentation in the gut, resulting in uncomfortable gas and bloating. If you're adding protein powder to your oatmeal and experiencing these symptoms, try having your protein source separately, perhaps some eggs on the side, or Greek yogurt stirred in after cooking if dairy agrees with you, or even choosing an unflavored, simpler protein powder if you're determined to mix it in. The key is to pay attention to how your body reacts and be wary of powders with extensive ingredient lists, especially those ending in "ol" sugar alcohols or listed as artificial sweeteners. Next up, a liquid many people might use to cook their oatmeal or add for extra flavor: fruit juice. This might seem like a natural fit. Fruit and oats go together. Right, while that's true in theory, using fruit juice instead of water or milk is essentially adding another significant source of concentrated sugar with very little of the beneficial fiber that was present in the whole fruit. When fruit is juiced, most of the fiber is removed, leaving behind the natural sugars fructose in a liquid form that is very quickly absorbed by your body. Cooking your oatmeal with juice, or adding a splash after, means you're starting your day with a breakfast that can cause a rapid spike in blood sugar, much like adding refined sugar. Again, this counteracts the slow-release energy benefit of the oatmeal itself. A blood sugar roller coaster first thing in the morning can lead to energy slumps later, increased cravings, and over time, can contribute to metabolic issues. Even 100% fruit juice, without added sugars, is much higher in sugar and lower in fiber than the fruit it came from. Think about how many oranges it takes to make 1 glass of orange juice. You wouldn't eat that many oranges in one sitting, but you drink the sugar equivalent easily. So, while the flavor might be appealing, swapping juice for water or a suitable milk alternative is a much better way to maintain the integrity of your oatmeal as a healthy, slow-burning fuel source. If you want fruit flavor, add fresh berries or sliced fruit after cooking. You'll get the flavor, the nutrients, and the all-important fiber that helps regulate sugar absorption. Now, let's talk about something that seems innocuous and is often added purely for taste: salt. While a tiny pinch of salt can enhance the flavor of oatmeal, especially savory versions, adding too much, or regularly adding a significant amount, introduces unnecessary sodium into your diet. Many people aren't aware of how much sodium they consume daily, and excessive sodium intake is a major contributor to high blood pressure, a significant health concern, particularly for older adults. Oatmeal itself is naturally very low in sodium. Adding a lot of salt turns it into a source of hidden sodium, while you might not add as much salt to sweet oatmeal as you would to a savory dish. The cumulative effect over time. Having salty oatmeal every morning can contribute to your overall daily sodium load. This is especially important if you're also consuming other processed foods throughout the day that contain hidden salt. High sodium intake encourages your body to retain water, which can increase blood volume and put more pressure on your blood vessels and heart. It's a silent burden on your cardiovascular system. So, be mindful of the salt shaker when preparing your oatmeal. If you crave flavor, focus on spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, or cardamom for sweet oats, or herbs and pepper for savory oats, rather than relying heavily on salt. Your heart will thank you in the long run. Finally, let's look at artificial flavorings and syrups. These liquid additions, often marketed as low-sugar or calorie-free ways to add intense sweetness and flavor, can be particularly problematic. While they might not contain sugar in the traditional sense, Artificial sweeteners and the other chemicals used to create these flavors can still trigger digestive issues in many people. Things like sugar alcohols, erythritol, xylitol, sorbitol are common in sugar-free syrups and are well known for causing gas, bloating, and diarrhea because they aren't fully absorbed in the small intestine and ferment in the large intestine. Beyond digestive effects, there's ongoing debate and research into the long-term effects of consuming artificial sweeteners regularly, with some studies suggesting they might negatively impact gut bacteria composition or even influence sugar cravings and insulin sensitivity in unexpected ways. Relying on these artificial syrups to make your oatmeal palatable means you might be introducing compounds that confuse your body's metabolic responses or irritate your digestive system. They offer intense sweetness and flavor without any nutritional value or fiber, essentially turning a whole food breakfast into something processed and potentially disruptive. Instead of reaching for that bottle of sugar-free syrup, consider using natural ways to add flavor and sweetness. Vanilla extract, almond extract, cinnamon, cocoa powder, or even a small amount of pure maple syrup or honey used sparingly. Keeping the sugar point in mind are generally better options than artificial concoctions. The goal is to enhance the natural goodness of the oatmeal, not mask it with artificial chemicals that might cause more harm than good in your system. So, we've talked about refined sugar, dried fruit, full-fat dairy milk for some, certain protein powders, fruit juice, excessive salt, and artificial flavorings and syrups. It might feel like a lot to consider when you just wanted a simple bowl of breakfast. But understanding these potential interactions is really about empowering you to make choices that genuinely support your health and well-being. Oatmeal is a fantastic base, full of fiber and nutrients that are incredibly beneficial, especially as we get older. It supports heart health, helps manage cholesterol, promotes digestive regularity, and provides sustained energy. The issues arise not from the oats themselves, but from what we add to them, often out of habit, for convenience, or because we're trying to make them taste more like a treat than a nourishing meal. The painful reality is that many of us have been inadvertently turning this nutritional powerhouse into something that causes uncomfortable symptoms or works against our health goals simply by adding these common ingredients. Maybe you've been experiencing bloating or energy crashes and never suspected your seemingly healthy oatmeal was part of the problem. By being mindful of these 7 additions, you have the power to transform your oatmeal back into the health champion it's meant to be. It's not about deprivation, it's about smarter combinations. Instead of sugar, try a sprinkle of cinnamon or nutmeg. Instead of dried fruit, opt for fresh or frozen berries. Swap fruit juice for water or unsweetened plant milk. Be selective with protein powders, choosing simpler, less processed options if you use them. Go easy on the salt and ditch the artificial syrups altogether in favor of natural flavorings. Remember, small changes can indeed make a big difference to your health and happiness, particularly when they become consistent habits. Choosing to prepare your oatmeal with care, being mindful of what you add, is a simple yet powerful step towards better digestion, more stable energy levels, and overall improved well-being. Don't feel overwhelmed by this list. Think of it as gaining valuable knowledge to help you feel better every day. Your body will thank you for it. What surprised you most on this list? Were you adding any of these things to your oatmeal regularly? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you and learn what changes you might consider making. Your experience could help others too. If you found this information helpful and eye-opening, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people see this important message. And, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to my channel for more practical tips and insights on living your best life at every age. We cover topics like this regularly to help you navigate the journey of aging with vitality and confidence. Thank you so much for watching and spending this time with me. Taking small steps like adjusting your breakfast can have a ripple effect on your entire day and your long-term health. Keep learning, keep making informed choices, and keep prioritizing your well-being. Live your best life at every age.